What's up, guys? Let's get another project going. Alright, so tonight we've got a couple smaller projects, but they are a little bit different, so we'll show you guys what we got. So the first one, we just got dropped off by a customer. I don't know exactly what it is. It's some kind of a door. It's for a local ice cream store chain, and apparently one of the stores in this chain, there was an incident where the customer lost 3 digicals. So where that's the case, I guess they're cracking down on their guarding and their safety and stuff in the store. So they brought this to me, and what we've got to do is these here are just like, you know, banjo style. So they need to get welded in, and she brought me this piece of rod. Hopefully I'll be able to get 3 pieces out of that. Luckily she did get stainless, so I was a little worried that she didn't bring stainless, but she did. So we'll go ahead and cut that up. We'll get it put in here and we'll get these welded out. It's going to be a little bit of a delicate operation. We got to hit these corners, so we're going to get these the best we can. I don't want to go too hog wild with them, because if one of them breaks, then it'll make it a nightmare for the next guy or whatever if you have to do a repair. So we'll get those in. We'll put some smaller tacks on these to hold them in place. And then she didn't say anything about this, but I'm pretty sure that's not the way it's supposed to be. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that, and she'll be back to pick it up tomorrow. The next thing we have is there's a guy coming down with a trailer, needs a couple pieces of flat bar fabbed up for him. He's a hot shot driver, so he's coming tonight. We got a couple small pieces to fabricate for him, so nothing crazy, but keeping us busy. So we'll go ahead and start on this. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, obviously, just like always, is we want to make sure the base material's clean. They did clean this pretty good. I am going to hit it with a little Scotch-Brite pad in my Milwaukee die grinder. Make sure and clean it up okay, best I can. I think we'll knock out these ones first because that's priority, and then we'll take a look at these more delicate pieces here. Alright, let's clean it up. Smells funny. Smells kind of like dairy. Like burning dairy. I thought about trading for ice cream, but that's not really going to help my dad bod situation, so I guess I'll just stick to cash. Okay, got that cleaned up. So we'll hit the first 2 and see how they go. I'm wondering what the contamination's going to be like. I don't want to take them out because you got to kind of bend them to get them out, and these 2 are nice and straight, so we'll see how this goes. I think I'm going to throw this in the vise so I can stand it up like this. Okay, so I'm just using 16th inch 316 stainless. I don't really know what grade this is, but 316 stainless is the highest grade that I have, so that's what I'm going to use. I'm using a number 7 cup with a stubby gas lens. Okay, here we go. Okay, now this next part could be a little tricky. I'm gonna grab a pick and see if I can, I'll show you. Okay, so I'm gonna grab a pick and see if I can pick in these holes. It looks like there's some funk down in there, so I'm gonna see if I can get it out of there. That's kind of what we're looking at. Just a little tack weld on each one of those. That tack's gonna hold them plenty for what they're used for. So, all right, I'm gonna see if I can clean these out just to make sure, and then we'll see about fitting this. Okay. So this is too wide to use my calipers. Otherwise, I'd use those, which is another good reason to buy a 12-inch set, which I'll eventually buy, but I don't have any right now. So I'm going to go on the long side so that if I need to trim it down, I can, but I don't want to be short. So I'm going to say 8 3/8. See how that goes. Well, the good thing is I just noticed this is 1/8 inch rod, so I could just use TIG rod. This is 304, but whatever. It's what she brought me, so it's what we'll use. Alright, so the piece of rod that she brought me, it's got a bunch of ugly nicks in it, and I don't like that. So I'm not sure. It looks like somebody took some pliers to it to bend it the way they did. I'm not sure what the heck they were doing, but I've got a piece of 1/8 inch stainless TIG rod here. This is 316. I'm just going to use this. It's a higher grade of stainless anyway, so they're getting a better product. So I'm just going to use this. We'll go ahead and cut this to length and put it in here and see how that goes. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this, and I'll show you what I'm using to cut it. I've got this little pair of bolt cutters. I just picked them up at Home Depot. They're right around $20, but they're awesome for cutting your TIG rod, and especially like stainless that's really hard.
It's time for today's super cool tool.
Alright guys, so for today's super cool tool, we're going to be talking about these little bolt cutters. These ones here are, I think it's Weiss, maybe Wiss, I think it's Weiss. W-I-S-S, that's what brand they are. I did pick them up at Home Depot. They're about 8 inches long. These are something that I definitely use a lot when I'm TIG welding, especially if I'm welding on something in a tight place where I've got to cut down my TIG rod to a smaller section so that I can squeeze up in a tight place. The good thing about bolt cutters is the way the leverage works on them. It makes it a lot easier to cut thicker stock like this 1/8 inch stainless. You know, it still takes a little bit, but it's a lot easier than trying to cut them with a pair of side cuts or something like that, because of the way the jaws work on a set of bolt cutters. These ones here cost me about $17 at Home Depot. If you get on Home Depot's website, they do offer multiple options, and they range anywhere from $17, this was the cheapest set they had, clear up to $70. If you look at the high-end small bolt cutter sets, you're looking at brands like Nipex. I don't know if you guys know about Nipex, but they make extremely good tools, and I believe they're made in Sweden. I have used their bolt cutters before, and they are awesome. This tool right here, it's extremely handy for cutting your TIG rod. It saves a little bit of stress on your hands, and you don't end up damaging your other tools because these are specifically made for cutting that sort of thing. They're specifically made for cutting harder steel, and so the jaws on them are hardened steel. And you know, a lot of times if you try to do that with your Leatherman or a pair of side cuts, you can end up damaging the jaws, and then next time you got to cut a piece of wire or whatever, it kind of sucks because you've ruined them. Using the right tool for the job is important. Check them out. This is one of those tools where you're not going to have to spend a bunch of money to better your tool arsenal. You know, 17 bucks is pretty reasonable, and it's definitely going to help you out, make your life a little easier. So that's going to wrap it up for today's super cool tool. Let's get back to the project. They just have the right kind of leverage to be able to cut something like this. That's definitely a good tool to have in your shop. So now I'm just going to clean the ends up. They're a little sharp. I'm going to clean the ends up on the Burr King real quick. Okay, so I'm guessing this rod size, there's a good chance that this was not made in the US, and the rod size is some metric size. So 1/8 inch is the closest we can get. It looks like it's just a hair thicker than the ones that came on it. So the holes are a little bit small. So I don't want to drill them out because I don't want to risk punching through the side of this. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut them to where they just sit in the hole just like that. And that's going to work just fine. Once I get the tack on, you'll never even know anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down just a hair, and then we'll try it again. Okay, so we just set this in here. Fits down in those holes pretty nice. It's nice and flat. So we're going to go with that. Alright guys, so I do want to do a quick update on where we're at with our burn table equipment setup. We've been making some pretty good headway. We are still waiting for a few parts to show up in the mail. I was hoping they were going to show up yesterday, but they did not. So hopefully by Monday they'll be here. So this is where we're at. I do have the air dryer sitting in place. Now I'm sure I may get a few comments on this, but I wanted the equipment sitting sideways because I didn't want it sticking clear out into the walkway here. If I'd have turned them and had the display facing this way, there was two things I didn't like. You got this stuff in the back that you got to hook into. So if I had to turn it this way, I mean, we're talking, I think it was close to 30 inches. I would have had to make this 30 inches. It would have been clear out into here. And I didn't like that. I like the way this works. I've got my hoses all set up here. One hose will plug in to the manifold. The other hose will plug in over here to the plasma. You can see the piping is just kind of hanging out until I get parts. I do have the regulator mounted on the wall. And I do have my strut. I decided to put some strut pieces on the wall to mount it to. This piping does come with some plastic little mounting tabs. I'll show you those. This piping does come with some little mounting brackets that you can use, and they snap on the pipe like that. And then you can screw them into the wall or the purlin or whatever. And they're not bad. I've used them in a few places throughout the shop. There's some over on that section and on the section that drops down over there. But this method is a lot more secure. I just take that PVC tape, wrap it, and then use the strut with a unistrut clamp. That's a lot more solid, it's a lot more secure, and a lot of times, you know, if it's up in the air where no one's gonna bump it, I think these are great. But down here on the floor, I want this to be nice and secure, and I don't want to be, you know, breaking fittings or anything like that. And it's not like we're getting real rowdy in here, but, you know, this is more secure. I just kind of like that, so that's what I went with. So we are getting close. By the time we get the rest of our fittings and get the manifold and the regulator all tied in right here, the only thing that's going to be left is to take our power source for the plasma, which is going to show up with the table, set it right here, and then I'll show you what else I got planned for that. Probably once we get the pipe fittings for this, I'll explain to you what I got planned there. But I just wanted to give you guys an update. And then we got the inspector out here. He's checking things out, huh? You say hi? Come on, don't be bashful. Say hi. Hi. Yeah, hi. So he's out here checking things out. You got your boots on, huh? His favorite tool is the drill. Oh. Can you turn it on? Let's see you turn it on. Oh yeah. That's good. That's what you call training them up right. Okay, so that's where we're at with the shop. Just wanted to give you guys an update. Alright, so we're back at it. I had to help that guy out. He was a hot shot driver and he needed some pieces of flat bar fabricated that go on the side of his gooseneck trailer for holding the ramps up. So I just had to take some flat bar, punch some holes in it. He was in a hurry, so I wasn't able to film any of it, but I did get a picture, so I'll show you guys that picture and just show you guys what I'm talking about. It was a quick, easy project, probably not all that exciting to watch, but I'll show you guys what it was. There's a lot of that stuff that comes through here that I don't put on because I'm sure a lot of it's not super exciting to watch, so we'll get back to this ice cream machine. Alright, we're ready to TIG this piece of rod in. It's set in place, so we're going to go ahead and TIG that up now. Alright, so we've got the next one in here. Had a little issues with that last one. Got a little too much heat and it melted to the point where I had to just cut it out and start over. So on to the next one. I've got my welder set at 90 amps, but I'm not getting anywhere close to that. This is one of those projects that's really nice to have a pedal so you can feather your heat. Okay, last one of these. So I'm just kind of taking a mark and cutting them with my bolt cutters. And if they're too long, I'm just shaving them down with the Burr King. Wow, that was right on the money. That doesn't happen very often. Alright, so we got these all welded up. I'm just going to hit these with a wire brush. Try to get that color off the best I can. Probably hit it with some Scotch-Brite. That usually takes the color off pretty good. Cleans it up, makes it look like nice clean stainless. Then if you look on the outside, you can see it's left some color marks. That's where this baby shines. Polish that up. I do want to fix these little ones down here. That could be tricky. Let's see how that goes. Somebody stuck a tool in there, or a spoon or something. So I'm going to try to take the needle nose pliers and straighten these out the best I can. And then I may not need to weld them if I can get them. There's holes up in here. If I can get them bent back and just shove them back up in the hole, I'm just going to leave it like that. So let's see what we can do. It's not perfect, but it looks a heck of a lot better than it did. But you can see there's little teeny wavies in them because they were so bent from before, but I'd say for as bad as it was, for what it is now, luckily we were able to get them back in the holes and spread them out and try to straighten them out the best we could. So I'd say for what it was, it looks a lot better now. So they can get back to making ice cream. I'll go ahead and clean it up with some Scotch-Brite real quick, and we'll go ahead and give you guys one last look. Alright guys, so let's take one last look at the finished product. Got these all polished up. You see there's a little bit of color underneath there that I couldn't get. That'll eventually wear off. Apparently a worker in one of the other states from this same chain was using I don't know what piece of machinery she was sticking her hands in, but apparently the guarding wasn't in place and she lost 3 fingers. So they're buckling down on their guarding to try to prevent that from happening. So I think it turned out pretty good. One other thing that I would say about these types of projects, this is not going to be a huge money maker. So I basically just charge them my shop rate. Took me about 2 hours to repair, so I'm going to charge them 2 hours worth. The thing that I wanted to say about jobs like this is I cannot tell you how many times I have heard on the phone, I can't get anybody to fix this. I've called multiple fab shops and they just said they can't do it, or they don't want to do it, or they're too busy. This was one of those cases. The lady that brought this to me said she's called multiple places. She can't find anybody that will do it. This was also a time crunch deal. She needed it done by tomorrow. I told her I would be able to knock it out tonight and have it ready for her tomorrow morning. So my point is, there is a lot of work out there for the smaller guys that are able to take on those jobs that the bigger guys can't. In my case, where I run a part-time shop, I get a lot of work because most of the other companies, most of the bigger fab shops are so backed up and they have 6-week lead times. Those companies that need it done within 1 to 2 weeks, they are tickled pink to find guys that can do it and get it back to them within the time frame that they need it. That's definitely something to keep in mind. Now, obviously, the longer you're in business, most of the time, and I've seen it myself, you'll gradually get busier. And as you get busier, chances are you're probably going to fall into that same category where you do have lead times and it's hard for you to get, where you have to get everything out the door within the time frame that the customer wants it. Then you got to start looking at possibly hiring employees and going full-time and all that stuff. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that sometimes to run a small part-time fab shop, you do pick up a lot of work that some of the big shops can't do because they're just too busy. And so you are able to make some decent money on the side just because you're able to get the job done quickly and back to the customer, and it works out better for both of you. So anyway, that's gonna wrap this one up. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope this makes you guys wanna take a seat on the couch, kick back, put your feet up, grab some ice cream, and watch some Freedom Fab. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you on the next one.